Today, I brought a surprise to share with you. I brought some toys that I want to share with you. The first one that I have here is my coloring book. Maybe some of you have seen this kind of books. I've been trying to do some coloring myself. This is something that I used to do when I was a little girl, and I have enjoyed doing this myself a lot. Sometimes when I'm under a lot of stress or a lot of pressure, some of the things that I do is this coloring. And I also have this. I don't know if you can see what it is. This is a game of jacks. I used to play this with my sister when we were little girls. You play with these jacks and a little ball. So this is something that I also bought. I have to be honest with you, I haven't used it yet, but I have it in my living room, and this is one of the things that I am planning to do whenever I am stressed or feeling under a lot of pressure. Why? Why did I bring these things to share with you? Because today we're going to be talking about living with our inner child. And the reason why I decided to share this with you is because someone wrote to me a question that we included in the Emotional Café newsletter. And this person was asking me what's the importance of working with the inner child. He was asking why we need to go to the past, to my childhood, and look at things in order to be fully happy today as an adult. Why is that important? And that's what pretty much brought me to share this session with you, living with our inner child. Because the truth is that as an adult, I am the result of all the experiences that I've lived throughout my childhood. So whatever we were exposed as a child, it's something that is going to be part of our emotional luggage that we bring to adulthood. So it is extremely important for us to identify those experiences. Some might have been very good ones, very positive ones. Some might have been very traumatic or painful or negative, but it is important that we get to identify how it made us feel, because sometimes as an adult, something might happen that might trigger the exact same emotion. And all of a sudden, although we're here, we emotionally go back, and the kind of overwhelming feeling or emotion that we're feeling at that moment, it's no longer what is happening on the here right now. And this can be so bad for us to the point that paralyze us, to the point that does not let us function appropriately. And it is extremely important that we get to identify these triggers, and that we get to identify what kind of things we can do to calm and bring to peace our inner child. Otherwise, your inner child is going to be ruling your life without you even being aware of it. Now, there's some triggers that are most common among most of the people, and those are the ones that I'm going to be talking about here today. There might be some other ones, but these are the ones that I'm going to talk. And the first trigger is any kind of violence, either openly displayed or covered. It is extremely important that if we as a child were exposed to a violent environment, any sign of violence is going to tense us, is going to cause some stress in our body, and it is important that we identify why this is happening. Because what's going to happen is that if you're in a meeting and your boss or supervisor raises their voice or kind of get agitated, you can find yourself freezing, not being able to move or speak or even understand what the person is trying to explain to you, simply because it triggered in you the same emotion that you used to feel as a child when exposed to that violent environment. So any kind of violence can be a very strong trigger to bring the inner child out. Pressure. There's people that cannot work under any kind of pressure. They just block themselves. They cannot function. They cannot think. They cannot speak. On the other hand, there are people that the only way they can actually work is under pressure. So we have both extremes. But it is important that we can figure out which of the extremes is where we're standing. Because if you are someone that whenever you feel a little bit of pressure on the professional level or the personal level, immediately you're going to shut down. You're going to block yourself, and you won't let anybody in. But when this is happening, you are not functioning in the now. You are already triggered to the past. You have moved to the past with the emotion that is overwhelming you at that moment. Another one is the sense of loss or abandonment. If we had experienced any important, relevant loss or sense of abandonment in our childhood, whenever we are in a relationship, it can be a love relationship or a friendship or any interaction, and we feel it as a threat, that we're feeling that sense of losing or feeling abandoned, we are going to be so fearful about the whole thing, and we're going to hold on and we're going to start acting in a very inappropriate way. It is simply because we are already overwhelmed by our emotions. But again, it's our inner child acting out. Condemnation, when we have disqualification, when we have someone putting us down or criticizing what we do, it might be a huge trigger that somehow brings the inner child. If that's what you were exposed to when you were a child, that's pretty much when your inner child is going to start coming out and acting out. And again, these are things that are going to interfere the way that you're functioning in your real life, in today's life. Mixed messages have been also something that as a child gets really confusing, to the point that takes a toll in our self-esteem. When we get mixed messages and we're told that we know what to do, but we shouldn't do this or do that, all of a sudden we're going to be adults that we don't know how to make our own choices or make our decisions, because we got all those mixed messages around in our mind. And somehow when you get that from a supervisor or someone or a friend that tells you, oh, I think you should do this or that, but again, do what you want, that's the moment when your self-esteem, you feel you don't know what to do, because it's a mixed message. And what you're feeling is that your inner child is coming out and taking over. Finally, the last trigger that I have for you today is chaos or any erratic behavior. Amazingly, when we have been surrounded by chaos, whenever as an adult we feel chaos again, if that is connected to a negative experience for us, we are going to block ourselves again. We're going to freeze, we're going to get paralyzed, we're going to stop what we're doing, we're not going to be able to connect, and we feel that we're shutting down inside. All these can be the ones that bring, all these triggers are the ones that bring our inner child out to the point that we'll be acting out today and we get disconnected with the situation itself. Now, I have some recommendations for working with your inner child. And again, this is something that we need to do in order to heal. We don't want to be adults that are acting impulsively or demanding or imposing and not being able to openly receive what others have to give, because we're always in our mind or emotionally going to the past. We want to be able to live fully in the present time and enjoy it. And in order to do that, we need to break with those old patterns, those things that are there, and it's our inner child coming out, because again, she does not understand what's going on, and emotionally what we do is that we go back in time. So the minute that we go back in time, we're losing sense, we're losing perspective, we're not connected with the now, and we're not going to be able to deal with the situation appropriately. So it is extremely important that you take these recommendations into consideration, because it can be something that can be very good for you. In my experience, I was able to participate in one of my training sessions with a session with a structured session with the inner child, and it was amazing to see the results. And this is something, these recommendations have been something that I have used with my inner child myself, and also with people that I have been assisting in their process. And it's just, again, an amazing result, how they heal, how they can move on, and especially how they can actually identify what's going on, what is it that they're feeling, and being able to put it in the appropriate perspective. So my first recommendation will be a simple one. Write a letter to your inner child. Just as an adult that you are today, write a letter addressing specific moments, specific emotions, things that you know that happened when you were a child, and write them down in the letter. Say that you know that that happened. Address the fact that you know that your inner child felt fearful or afraid or scared or terrified, or whatever the emotion was. Name it and make sure that you're recognizing it and validating it, and and tell your inner child that there's nothing to worry anymore, that you're there to protect him, to take care of him, and that you're always going to be there for him, for her. So no one's going to be able to come and take care of your needs. You need to do it for yourself. And by going back to your inner child through that letter and telling them, you know, I'm here for you, you're actually assuming responsibility to take care of you and protect yourself and take care of yourself. So writing a letter can be something very powerful for you. Another great recommendation, a great tool, it's making visualizations as an adult, just the way that you are now with your inner child. And what you do is that you close your eyes and you imagine, it's like a little game in your mind in which you go back in time, just the way that you are dressed up today as an adult, and you interact with you as a child. So you got in your picture mind, you have you as an adult interacting, playing, talking, giving lots of love and taking care of your inner child. And it's a great way to calm yourself whenever you feel overwhelmingly, emotionally, feeling something that you cannot identify. If you do this visualization, it's just amazing how your inner child, how those emotions are going to come down. But you got to do it like a game in your mind. You just set some time apart, or you just move away from the situation and you do this for a few minutes, and you are going to be able to see the results. Also, talking to any emotional health professional, a counselor, a therapist, a life coach can help a lot. Talking to someone that can help you identify not only your emotions, but whatever triggers are affecting you, it's something that's going to be very good for you. And it's also going to help you put all this in perspective. Another tool can be to read books about the inner child and how to heal all those emotions from your childhood. Reading books can also be very helpful. If you're someone that enjoys to read, that might be your thing. So take it into consideration. And finally, and this is a recommendation, this is a tool that I'm always promoting. You need your notebook to write down your emotions. You need your emotions, your journal of emotions, in which you can write down everything that comes to your mind, how you're feeling, what you're thinking. And again, the most important thing is at the end, after you just brought it all out and you write it down, that you finish with a paragraph in which you say, everything's going to be okay. This is no longer happening. Today is the day that I have, and I'm doing things differently, and I take care and I protect myself. Because again, you are being overwhelmed by your emotions, and by writing them down, you're going to be able to identify them. But you don't want to stay in the pain. You want to be able to bring yourself to the now, to today's day, present, and move on. So writing is just for you to vent it out. It's just for you to bring it out of your mind, of your heart, in order for you to feel less under that emotion. But it is extremely important that you finish that writing that you just did, those thoughts, those feelings, reminding yourself that today you have a different opportunity, that today is a new day, and that you're doing great, and that you're doing everything you can to get better and feel better. Again, by working with our inner child, it's just amazing how much freedom we get to gain. And I don't know why is it that when we grow up, we think that we need to quit having fun, or we try to find ways to have fun in very harmful ways. Again, find something that you enjoy. If it's reading, it's reading. If it's running, if it's jumping, if it's playing jacks or coloring a book, just like I shared with you today. And this is the reason why I wanted to share, because it doesn't matter who you are, but find ways, creative ways that can help you feel at peace with yourself, and especially calm your emotions inside. That's what living with the inner child is about. Being able to be the adult and being able to put everything in perspective. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you next time.